Good afternoon and welcome to Standpoint. I am Veronica Dan Ikboy. Without a doubt, the electoral process is central to the aspiration of any democratic nation to achieve economic and political growth. Nigerians will be going to the polls few months from now, but this time not with discordant tunes. With one voice, they are demanding for leaders who will deliver true dividends of democracy, not politicians who will buy their votes using stomach infrastructure and then abandon all they preached once in power. As the 2019 general election draws closer, the events playing out show that the election will be the mother of all elections in Nigeria. For the 2015 election, the All Progressives Congress sold Nigerians the change mantra, many bought it, and gave the party's presidential candidate, Muhammadu Buhari, their mandate. President Buhari's 4-year tenure almost done. Have the APC lived up to its promises? And what do Nigerians want now from the leaders they will elect in 2019? I have in the studio a 2019 presidential aspirant on the platform of the Alliance for a New Nigeria, ANN, Dr. Thomas Wilson Ikubwese. Also in the studio is the publisher of Cross River Watch, Agba Jalingo. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the program.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Well, from all indications, the battle for the presidential seat in 2019 will be fierce. It will not be a walk in the park for Nigeria's two major political parties, the APC and the PDP. On the one hand, they have the much talked about third force to contend with. And on the other hand, the new crop of politicians on the block whom are already giving the old establishment a lot of heat. I'll start with you, Doctor, since you are an aspirant come 2019. Now, how has it been for you, seeing the fact that many Nigerians believe that for you to be a part of the political process, you have to have a war chest of some sort to be able to contest the 2019 elections or any elections, so to speak, in Nigeria. How has it been for you?
Well, thank you. For me, like for every other young person out there, what we have always advocated is a situation where we would have a level playground, where aspirants become candidates by virtue of what they have to offer upstairs, by virtue of the manifestos and the ability to deliver on their manifesto, and not on the strength of the money that they have in their kitty. And that's why when President Buhari signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law, I was not particularly excited.
Why?
I wasn't excited because it looks like a Greek gift to me. Why I say that is because for the presidential election, for instance, to pick up the nomination form, you need to pay 10 million naira. Governorship, you need to pay 5 million. The Senate, you need 2 million. For House of Rep, you need 1 million. Now, how many young people of 35, of 30, 25 can afford such amount of money? So for me, if we want a process that will be truly transparent, that will actually throw up the best in the field, our emphasis should not be on money. And that's why I made a recommendation. I actually had a press release that day, and I said that for the office of the president, we should not have anything more than 300,000 naira for nomination fee. For office of the governorship, it should be for 200,000. For the office of the Senate, 100,000, and the House of Reps, 75,000. So we can have as many young people that have brilliant ideas, sound mind. Let them all come in. It's like a marathon race. And at the end of the day, the people themselves will determine which of them is most ideal.
But some people have come up with the idea of raising funds.
Yes.
How have you been able to raise funds for yourself?
Certainly, that's part of what we're doing, crowdfunding. Okay, we encourage people to donate their widow's mite because we're trying to run away from a situation where you have a money bag that brings in millions of naira. It gives you big sums of money. And of course, when you get in there, he dictates, you know, what you do, and what he gets back is like an investment, and then you get multiples of that. So crowdfunding is the way to go. We have been going that way to Nigerians. It's strange because Nigerians are used to those who are seeking to, you know, to go for political office, giving them money. Now we are coming and say, this is a new generation. We don't have money to give to you. You will contribute your widow's mite and give to us to make it possible. So it sounds strange to them, you know, but we're speaking to them and gradually they are beginning to sow into it.
All right, Agba, you see, there has been a couple of new persons. We have about 68 political parties or so to speak at the moment. But now, how viable? We came up with third forces, fourth force, different forces. But then when you look at 2019, how viable do you think these forces or political parties are, seeing that they are not part of the major political parties that we know?
Well, I would say that beyond the APC and the PDP, presently, apart from the individuals themselves, very few other parties are quite viable. Because even the SDP, we are seeing very clearly, we heard about the third force, but all of that ended up in one cubicle. And all the grandstanding about everything ended up in one place. I don't want to call the name of the party, but we expected something bigger than that to give the PDP and
Was that a disappointment for you?
Yeah, well, it wasn't, because I wouldn't expect that Nigerians will wait for a President Obasanjo to show them the way to go in 2019. He has had cumulatively about 12 years to run this country, and he didn't know what to do. And I can't imagine that he will be the one now telling us what to do. He should have done that in 12 years. He first ruled as a military leader. He came back and spent 8 years and was even looking for a third term. He couldn't do it, and I cannot imagine that kind of man. So I wasn't disappointed. As a matter of fact, I feel that Nigerians really gave him the kind of response that he deserved.
All right.
But there are individuals, there are young people who are coming into the race. He is one of them that I think on their own person would be able to make impact. I have a candidate in this election. I campaigned for the president in the last election. Shura is coming, and I'm very excited. And I think that he's also going to make a lot of impact. Already there's a Take It Back movement, and it's described today as the fastest growing movement with young people around the country. It's not yet a political party, but I see Fela Duroto is also coming into the fray, and I think that if all of these people, if all of these people get into the election on their own personal by their own personal efforts rather, I'm sure that they will be able to make some form of impact.
They will be able to challenge.
It is possible. It is possible, and most of them, I should also say this, that even if they don't end up winning the presidency, they would have injected new energy into the system that will help subsequently to clean up the mess that we are having today, and that is very, very essential. Because the last time, what we were left with was a choice between the devil and the WC. And when the parties throw up two choices that you don't have anything to do about, you have to go for one to satisfy yourself that you're able to play your civic responsibility. But with the entrance of these younger persons, I'm sure that Nigerians will have more options, and it is left for us to decide exactly who we want to vote for in 2019. But of course, I know already who I would vote for in 2019. I would vote for Shura. I'm very excited.
Well, you said that his movement is not yet a political party.
No,
yet.
not yet.
So you cannot just, we can't really say that.
Okay.
Okay, until his movement becomes a political party.
Yeah, before he can
then
contest an election.
You can contest an election and all of that. Now, I come back to you, Doctor. This is just about galvanizing a critical mass of good people to go into public office and deliver good governance, or there is more to it, especially in the area of integrity?
Now, this is more than galvanizing people or trying to make a statement. This is about taking the nation back for real in 2019 from the hands of the people who have led us to the kind of cauldron that we find ourselves today. Now, he talked about the third force. The most viable third force in Nigeria today is the NIM, Nigeria Intervention Movement. And on the 29th of May, the NIM adopted as its political platform Alliance for New Nigeria. So before 29th of May, Alliance for New Nigeria was just a single political party. But after the 29th of May, Alliance for New Nigeria became a coalition of political interest. So we have about 30 different parties that moved into ANN with NIM. So as I speak to you, ANN is not just the party it used to be. It becomes the strong force. And we are galvanizing people, young people, to come together. Like he did say, we have very veritable persons who are also vying in that party. Now, let me say this. We're not going to reveal some things on air because,
No, you can go ahead. Why is that?
Now, the bottom line is this. 2019 is not about a person. It's an ideology. Whether you are supporting Showore, or you are supporting Fela Durotoye, or you are supporting Elishama, or you are supporting Ikubese, or you are supporting any of the young ones, Matthias, Ahmed, mention them. at some point, there's going to be a convergence. So it's not a fight among young people. It's a movement that is galvanizing towards a production of a unitary system. And when that point comes,
will there be a convergence?
I won't mention that here. That's our last card. But what I'm trying to let you know, people will say, we haven't seen, people are all coming, put your eggs in one basket. We can't do that now.
Yes, because there is a time frame.
That's a time frame, yes. That's why I said I won't mention that to you, but be sure. And let me also say that majority of the people that you find in the APC today are not in the APC. They are waiting for the right time to jump off the boat. And when they jump off the boats, we know where they are going to jump into. So 2019, a lot of last cards that we are holding back to our chest. If you look at the table now, you feel not much is happening, but I can tell you.
It won't be too late.
Certainly will not be too late. So we're not just out to make a statement. We are out to take over the leadership of this country and make it work. And we know it can work. I was somewhere yesterday and I did mention that, for instance, we're talking about power supply running on generating set now. Within 6 months, any government that is serious will generate uninterrupted power supply in 6 months. It's part of my manifesto, uninterrupted in 6 months.
We had this in promise.
Yes. Now, why couldn't they fulfill it when they got there? The reason is simple. They went the same way they've been going. Remember that President Muhammadu Buhari was lampooning former President Obasanjo a few days ago, and he said he wasted $16 billion and there was no light. The truth of the matter is, if President Muhammadu Buhari himself spent $100 billion, there still will be no light, except we do two things. One, we must decentralize power. Every state will have to generate its power using gas turbine.
That's restructuring.
Using gas turbine. Call it anything, using gas turbine. Now you generate your power and you transmit to the people within your vicinity, irrespective of the wattage that you generate. Now, if you generate more than 10 megawatts, you can't transmit. We'll remove that lead. So you generate and transmit without passing into the national grid. Two things. So once you do that, you have uninterrupted power supply. Within 6 months is too long, and that will be done. So any government that is bold, courageous, visionary enough to do that will give us uninterrupted power supply. So there are many other things. I was watching your program a few days ago, and I saw a governor who was commissioning road, and he brought all manners of people to come and do the fanfare for commissioning road in 21st century. That's insulting to our people. So trivialization of things like that will have nothing to do. Roads are things you do every day. Water, these things. So government is not complex. People are tired. Nigerians want to change in 2019, and in 2019, that will come, and it will come with what the NIM has begun, which will climax in 2019.
Agba, now he mentioned some, so to speak, even though he did not say it is restructuring, but he talked about restructuring. This is a song that we have, that has been sung for a long time, even between last year and this year. And somehow it didn't seem to, augur well with a lot of people because they said it meant different things to different people. But when you look at the structure of Nigeria, can restructuring, playing the card of restructuring, will that change anything, or will that solve the challenges that we are being bedeviled with?
Well, people have argued, quite frankly, that the word restructuring seems to mean different things to different people, and
Definitely.
I agree. I remember that I've been part of a group that has been calling for restructuring for the past 15 years, when PDP was still in power. And we thought that with the change of power in 2015, that these same people who have been agitating, they found their way into power, that they were going to at least do that same thing they have been talking about, restructuring the country along the lines that they have been preaching to us. But the moment they got into power, restructuring also did not mean anything to them again, or maybe at least they shifted the goalposts and gave it a different definition. They are no longer interested or keen about restructuring the country. But there's no doubt about the fact that if you devolve powers to the various federating units that make up this country, that it will enhance development, it will quicken development, it will also create a healthy competition among the various parts that make up this country. That is not a lie. But The politicians, I think when they got in there, they saw the volume of the money and the resources that they are controlling, and the idea of decentralizing and allowing the states to go with some of these, and then, of course, reducing that obsession about the center. They are no longer interested in doing that. But 2019, beyond restructuring, I would think that Nigerians, we don't need restructuring to get our roads tarred, really. You just need a president that is willing and having the political will to start. Of course, you have a minister of works that is given money to go and work. The administrative bottlenecks and other things that are delaying. Maybe you need a president that is willing. Elections are coming. Look at the way President Buhari is ramping up so many things. Just yesterday, day before yesterday or so, the Federal Executive Council had to approve lump sums of billions to go and start constructing about how many roads in some parts of the country. And the question we keep asking is, where were these people 3 years ago? We expected, okay, elections are coming, you are ramping up everything. It became easier for corrupt people to slip into the president's party than slipping into prison like we expected. Elections are now coming. Yeah, the feeling is good, no doubt about it. I feel good that 2 governors, as we're talking, are in prison. I've been to prison, so I feel I can imagine what they are going through, and I feel very good. But why is it coming now? Why is it coming now? And those are the fears. But amongst the people who are looking forward to become president of this country, I believe very strongly that these young ones will be more revolutionary in their thinking, that they will be more, we're angry enough to want to change this country. We're very, very angry. We want to change this country. It appears that these people, they don't understand the urgency. The level of poverty in this country is so debilitating. If something does not happen, something terrible is going to happen very soon. And I tell you that we are angry. We want to take our country back. And I believe very definitely that something will happen before 2019.
Of course,
something will happen, yeah.
Taking the country back and the anger and all of that, you know that recently we just declared June the 12th Democracy Day, and this same anger sort of led people to saying that we are shoving aside our sentiments, whether religious, whatever sentiments, and we want a particular person. Does that mean that the challenges that pushed us to say that, we know, June the 12th, we are going to vote whom we want to vote, that these challenges are still with us, and over the years, democracy, that we have practiced democracy, we have not been able to really address this, and come 2019, we can really, really look at that to decide who we want to decide.
If we look at the situation of the country, how it was on the 12th of June, 1993, when we had that memorable election and Nigerians went to the ballot to cast their votes.
All right, if you could just hold the thought, we have Patrick on the line calling from Akwa Ibom. Go ahead with your contribution, Patrick. Patrick, are you there? All right, go ahead.
Now, the issues that MKO Abiola used to campaign then, we still very much have them with us. Road, light, security, I think they are even worse off now than it was at that time. So the problem we have is the problem of leadership. Nigeria is not a complex country. I hear many of the people around office and power tell you it's complex. There's nothing complex about it. Once you have a leader who is visionary, who is purposeful, who is ready to make the system work, and has a blueprint on the table, has a manifesto of himself, not the party manifesto. That's important. You know,
what's the difference?
The difference is something must be driving you, and that's the manifesto you have drawn up for yourself, not the manifesto that, you know, you have to join a political party. We haven't had a provision for independent candidacy at the moment. So
right. Hold on, if you could just hold on. We have Patrick. I hear he's still hanging on. All right, go ahead with your contribution, Patrick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, the doctor on the panel there was talking about the last joker. He was talking about the last joker the other new parties have. Like you said, it won't have be too late. And my suggestion is that all the new parties, the younger elements that want to contest for this 2019 election, why don't they come together so that they can form a formidable party to defeat an incumbent? Because like, you know, like we're saying about resources that the incumbent have and the power of incumbents Is it not better for you people to form a coalition, at least so that we know maybe the direction you people are following, rather than keeping something you said is that you have, the last joker? I think it will be too late. The earlier you do it now, the better, you know. And lastly, I think restructuring will go a long way in addressing some of the challenges we have, you know. It will contribute to development, all these insecurity problems that we are having. If the country is properly restructured, as in we have community police and state police, I think it will go a long way in addressing the security challenges that we have in the country. That's my contribution.
All right, thank you, Patrick, for your contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much, Patrick. You know, when you're in the battlefield, you don't reveal your last joker. You do it face by face. I can tell you that before the 2019 election, President Buhari will still come with more jokers. The 2019 recognition of June 12 and Abiola is a joker. And there are other jokers that will be coming before, the same way we have our jokers, which I know it's going to be a landslide by the time we come out with it. So the bottom line is, be sure that at the moment you find Chiwore everywhere doing his own thing. He's having town hall meeting. It could be, say, I had a town hall meeting also in Lagos here yesterday, and it was a mammoth success. The rest people, we are all having our different crowds. We're pulling together, and that's why I said we are not rivals. We are co-workers in the vineyard of a new Nigeria. We have a timetable, we have a program. At some point in time, we will come together. It's not going to be too late. We are very much aware of what is on ground, and we know how to go about it. But be rest assured that it's a thing that will come to pass. And we all have a role to play in this. You have a role to play in this. Nobody is satisfied with how Nigeria is at the moment. And what we need to do is to begin to galvanize the people, let them know that we need to move away from the status quo and make Nigeria functional. That's the role you have to play watching this program at the moment. That's the role everyone has to play. We're making our own little sacrifices at our own level. At the right time, the magic will happen.
All right, back to your line of thoughts. You were talking about something earlier, and you mentioned the independent candidacy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was talking about the independent candidacy, and that at the moment we do not have provision for independent candidacy. So we will need to join a political party. We all have different followers. At the moment, there are people, if you mention certain names, they will tell you, no, I can't vote for this person, even though he's a youth. I don't like his face. I don't like, you know, one thing about him or the other. And I like this person, so I'll go for this person. Like he likes Chiwore is going. That's beautiful. Someone else likes Ikubese. Someone else likes Dorotoye. Beautiful people. But at the right time, there's going to be that synergy, and that's the joker that we are holding. And Veronica, when it happens, you will give us a thumb up.
All right, you want to say something to that?
You know what? The truth is that this government shouldn't take this build-up for granted. For instance, it is only if you are naive that you will deny the role that social media, and particularly Sahara reporters, played in bringing the present government to power. It's only if you're anybody that is naive that will do the argument. Mm-hmm. And if all of these people that were your social media influencers, let me not say all of them, most of them are beginning to jump ship one by one and beginning to feel like there's something wrong. See, I'm not running for election, but like I said, I am committed to the Chiwore movement. We will disrupt the political process in this country. I can say that with all sense of confidence. We will disrupt the space. We're already disrupting it. As I'm talking with you now, Chiwore is in Yola for the Yola town hall. He will move from Yola to Kano. We will disrupt this space. We have disrupted the media space. Like a joke. I don't think anybody out there ever thought that without printing a hard copy of a magazine or a newspaper, you were ever going to make a success of a media organization. Not many people believed that 12 years ago. But it has become a revolution. Not only has it become the biggest platform in Africa, it is valued at $10 million by Forbes. That's a revolution, both in entrepreneurship and in terms of reaching out with information. That same structure is still available, and it will be employed in mobilizing Nigeria in this movement. And so those who are in power should watch their shoulders, because we are coming and we are serious. We want to take our country back. It's not a joke. And the very good thing about this also, Victoria, is that These people talking are fighters. The people that when they set their hearts on one thing, nothing stops them. So the government should know that we are not just a bunch of young people who are drunk with passion. No. We know exactly what we are saying. As a matter of fact, some of these people, I pick on Jore in particular, if there's anybody amongst those contesting that should be discussing democracy, is the one. At 21, see him right before Abiola, from small boy up to today, has been fighting these dictators for the past 30 years and talking about democracy. He's most qualified to be talking about democracy now. And I don't think that we are joking. I repeat that word again. We are not joking. We are serious about this. And like he said, I believe that at some point, all of this water will coalesce somewhere and we will eventually go into the field. We'll go and try. But I assure you, we are confident that we will win. The young people will win.
Yes.
Nigerians will take their country back. I'm very confident about that. Like I said, we will disrupt the system.
Disrupting the system?
Yes, and we will disrupt the system.
How about the bottlenecks on the way to disrupting the system? When you look at the fact that for some time now, some people have been finding it difficult to even get their PVCs. No matter how early they go to queue and say they want to get their PVCs, is a huge challenge. Dealing with that is one of the bottlenecks, because you can't just, if you go around, make the noise, without the PVC, you can't make that change.
There are millions of PVCs lying down in various INEC offices across the country that have not been collected by the owners. Apart from the fact that it's difficult to get one, but even those that have been procured, that have been obtained, people are not willing to go and pick them. Like in my state, Cross River, for instance, the REC keeps saying that there are over 70,000 PVCs waiting and the people are not coming forward to pick them up. Last week, I know that INEC also sent messages around that all the PVCs that were, people that registered in 2016 and 2017, that the PVCs are ready for collection. I think part of what we will continue to do, also on programs like this, is to encourage Nigerians, particularly the younger ones, to know that there's no polling unit on Facebook and Twitter or Instagram.
It's important.
There's no polling unit on social media. All the polling units are somewhere in your neighborhood. And that's why it's very important for you to go and get a PVC. It is very, very, very important that we get it. Like you said, no matter how agitated we are, if you don't have that card. We are also pushing for the invalidation of voter registration, as a matter of fact, because if you are 18, I shouldn't have any reason to go and register before I vote. If I have a national ID card that they can use to verify my age that I'm up to 18, I shouldn't have any reason to go and register before I vote. It's happening in some parts of the world. In Norway, you don't register before you vote. It's believed that your card confirms your age and you can go ahead and vote when the time comes. But we are not there yet. Presently, we still register to vote in Nigeria, and it is very important that every young person that is angry out there, every young person that is annoyed with what is going on in this country, go and get your PVC and then wait for February to go and cast your vote. It is very important that we do that, because if we don't, this system will continue. These hawks will continue. It appears they have a way of protecting themselves. You know, even people that we thought would go and change the country, they get in there and then they are partying themselves, they are just managing this. Look at politics is coming now. Let me give you one very painful example, Victoria. I have given this example elsewhere before. I work for Sahara Reporters. We took the pain to investigate the Ekiti Gate. Pain to investigate Ekiti Gate. How Obanikoro used a bullion van to break a security gate in the airport to obtain billions of naira to go and rig election in Ekiti. We did an interview with a captain in the army who even ran out of the country for fear of being killed. It was when this government took over that the captain returned. We even intercepted calls that were available to the public. We called it Ekiti Gate.
Right.
Just how many months after, that same man that was taken to court, they came to the ruling party. And he has now been returned as the C. Ronaldo of the ruling party to go and do the same thing he did for PDP in Ekiti, to go and help them win the governorship election.
You're certain about that?
They have just done him. Now he's the one leading the APC team to Ekiti State to go and repeat the same thing he did for PDP. And then you say you are fighting corruption. That's a contradiction, particularly coming from those of us who actively trying to support the government by exposing corruption. And then you see that the government is cherry picking. Like corruption a la carte, you choose a la carte, you choose what you want and then leave what you want. It's very painful.
We need to quickly go on the short break. The discussion continues when we return. Stay with us. You're still watching Standpoint. Now, 19 years of democracy and counting. There is very little to show for it in terms of infrastructure development. The power, works, health and education sectors are still in a sorry state despite juicy promises from past and present leaders to get things up and running in those sectors. Why do politicians jettison their manifestos and discard their promises to electorates immediately they win elections and assume office, Doctor?
Well, the bottom line, why we find politicians who jettison the campaign promises they made before they get into office is because the process that brings them into office in itself is not fair. I'll begin with the people. In this part of the world, if you say you want to run for office, people see you as a potential money bag. They see you as their ATM. They come to you with all of their problems and their sorrows and their challenges, and they expect you to solve it for them. They expect that they will come to you and you begin to dole out money for them. And if you don't do that, they will tell you you are not qualified to even occupy office.
Isn't that the system that we have built?
That they have built, the oligarchies that we are trying to boot out of power, that's what they have built. Because they believe that, you have to pour cold water in front before you step on it. But that's not what leadership is about. Leadership is about service. And that's the difference between what we have and what you obtain in Europe. The white man will easily resign and tell you, I'm no longer doing. He just goes home. Why? He's there for service. So the first thing is, our people, they will need to be oriented. You cannot be expecting to collect money from someone who wants to run for office, and then you expect that person to deliver when he gets there. I want to run for office, I have to sell my land, sell my house, maybe sell one or two of my cars to raise funds, and then I get into office. You expect me to serve you first? No. I will have to recoup the money that I have spent and also make profit. So that is the beginning of corruption. The people of Nigeria must learn to stop demanding money from the people they want to vote for. And if you look at it on the long run, you may not blame them. Why I said that is because over time, when the people get in there, they go after their own interests and abandon the people. So the people are indirectly saying that we know you are going to steal. We know that's why you want to run for office. So before you go in to steal, give us our own share before you go and take your own share. That's why they keep demanding money from politicians each time they want to go into office. So that is the point number one. The people must learn that we are building a new orientation. We are building a new order where people go into office to serve and not because they want to go there and steal. So our people should stop asking for money before they go to ballot to cast their vote. Sometimes on election day, you find people just sitting down at home. And if you ask them, they watch television, they watch football, they watch everything, but they won't go.
Perhaps they do not believe in the process. Perhaps they do not believe in the structures in place.
They do not believe that anything good will come out of Israel. They do not believe that the politicians have anything good to offer them. That's why they can give us our own share. Otherwise, we won't go and vote. Give me money before I go, because when you get there, you're going to steal. So let me have my own share before you go and steal your own. That's the order. But if they really see that we have a set of people that are accountable. Now, part of my manifesto, for instance, is that every 3 months, I and members of my cabinet, by the grace of God, when I become the president of this country, we will face the press. All of the ministers will be seated here. All the heads of government parastatal, Nigerian people represented by the press will be at the other side. So if you have any query for any minister, for any head of parastatal, put it to the person there. If the person cannot answer it, he will resign there and then.
We have Philip on the line calling from the UK. Go ahead with your contribution, Philip.
Yes, good afternoon. My contribution is in form of encouragement. I have been monitoring what has been happening in my country, in Nigeria, especially the movements, various movements coming from the youth of Nigeria. We are happy, those of us in the diaspora, we are happy that the youth are now coming out. They are now ready to take up the mantle of leadership in Nigeria. And I can see a lot of capacity among them, especially the man that is sitting right there, Dr. Ikubezi. We have monitored him, we have followed him. If you see seriousness, you identify seriousness. I am praying that God will help them. I know that they don't have the money. They are not money back. None of them, Showore, Ikubeze, all of them, they are not money back, but God is going to help them. Nigerians in and outside Nigeria are going to back them up to make sure that they remove all these people without knowledge, without capacity that have destroyed our nation. May God help them. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Thank you so much. You know, talking about accountability, like I was saying, you know, I did mention, for instance, that every 3 months we face the press. And then if you have anyone that has a question, that has a query, put it to the person. There will be no presidential defense. Let the person answer. If he cannot answer, he resigns there and then. Every month we will have a publication of the income and the expenditure of government. No government has ever done that. How much are we making from petroleum? How much are we making from tax? How much are we making from agriculture? It will be published for Nigerians to see every month and posted on the social media. Expenses, every government parastatal will have to publish how they spend. Now, if you look at the books of some of these parastatals, you may find, for instance, maybe a particular ministry will say that they changed the tire of a Hilux vehicle for 250,000 naira. Where do you get a tire for 250,000 naira? What kind of a tire is that? But because nobody looks at the books, they write it, they cover it, and they steal the money. But if you have a situation which you have an accountability, you have a publication of the income and the expenditure of government every month, nobody will dare try that because Nigerians will see, publish it, put it in the social space for them to see. So I do believe that if you have a system that wants to work, if you have one leader, people say one person can't change the country. One person can change the country. If you have one president who is sincere, who is genuine, who is committed and says, no matter whose ox is God, I want to make this country work, 6 months, Veronica, and you begin to wonder if we're in Nigeria or we're in America.
6 months. I'll write that down. Now, Agba, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Victoria, I should also add to what I said that the model of organizing political parties in Nigeria has also not been the type that allows for popular participation. In this same country, we see churches start from people's garages. They have a way of convincing these same poor people to come to them. Even when they are not around, they come religiously. Almost Monday to Saturday, the people, the pastors say they should come, they are there. And then they come with their little small money to feed these big men who call themselves their pastors. What is it that they are doing that political parties cannot adopt?
Learn from.
Then apart, you could say that because they told them they are going to heaven. No. I've also seen, as a journalist, I go around, I knew, or I still know 89-year-old women, 67-year-old women in the southeast who will sell their firewood, and they will remove their contribution from Masop first. They will remove that money first before they count the remaining money, their contribution from Masop. We even have organizations like Hamas. Everywhere on this planet there is a Palestinian. They send money back home for Hamas, no matter how little the contribution is. There is something these groups are doing. Political parties in Nigeria do not grow organically. They
Perhaps because of the structure in place.
Yeah, I mean, is it the structure? It's just that the politicians themselves, even those who are running for office, are not interested in building organic growth in the political parties, where you make the people believe in the ideology and philosophy of the party, and then they contribute.
Parties.
Maybe that is exactly what is lacking. You cannot gather people in a vacuum. And when you bring people together and there's a vacuum, every time they come together, they just shout maybe the party slogan. You print T-shirts for them. When they are going back, naturally they will expect that you are going to give them money. But if there's a process, a program of growing these political parties, you also have a program of indoctrinating whoever is coming to register as the party, as a member of the party. I believe that at some point, the people will be convinced enough to put their money and push that political party.
So because of this, does this then, from what you're saying, gives whoever gets into power the power to ensure that he can do away with whatever he told them because he has achieved what he wants to achieve?
The moment you do that, there is no way you will not be tied to the apron strings of these people. If people donate their 1 naira and give to you, that's why Chora is employing the formula of raising money, crowdsourcing money. We're on GoFundMe. There's even a Zenith Bank account in Nigeria. And I tell you, people are donating as little as 1,000 naira, 500 naira into the account. There is no way you collect 500 naira from people like this and then you get into power and you don't have a conscience. Something will happen to you.
But I remember in 2015, there was an old woman who said she donated her money to the president's campaign. There were also donations.
Yeah, that's why people are this angry, because we have waited for 3 years. I didn't donate money myself, but I worked tirelessly for this government. And like I said, the most annoying thing for me about the government is that it has become easier for corrupt people to slide into the president's party than sliding into prison. I was expecting to see so many people now behind bars, and then these people, I see them every day smiling and talking in the president's party, and it can be very, very annoying. Then, and so many Nigerians out there who also contributed their 1 naira, their 500 naira, they are angry about what is going on.
We have Lawrence on the line from Ogun State. Go ahead with your contribution, Lawrence.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, how are you?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, I commend your guest, Mr. Agbajalingo, who I know is a patriotic Nigeria. I commend all their struggle. But my contribution, like the man at the right hand said, that within 6 months, it can make the country okay. I disagree with him. He's only focusing on the presidency. He left the aspect of the legislature who's supposed to amend the law to ensure services were delivered to Nigeria. All this struggle for the young people is very good, but there's one big mistake we are making. We're only focusing the presidency. We leave all the state of federation and we are not focusing the National Assembly, who is the engine room of democracy, where the policies and amending the law can deliver service to Nigeria. Maybe we look at this aspect. Second point, we should focus on the registration of the card, voters card. I've done my transfer for the past 6 months. I'm unable to get my voters card. Visit there, see what is happening there, so that many Nigerians can have opportunity to choose among the people that are contesting for election. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lawrence, for your contribution. Perhaps you might want to let Lawrence know your plans on how you intend to work with the legislature, who he said, like he said, is the engine room of any democracy.
On the 24th of July, 2017, I made a declaration to run for the office of the president, and I issued a statement. I encouraged all young people across the Federal Republic of Nigeria to show interest in partisan politics and get involved to the extent of having our nation back from the hands of the people who have misled us to where we are. Now, the outcome of that is what we are seeing today. Today we have quite a number of presidential aspirants. We also have young people who are running for the office of the Senate, for House of Rep, for House of Assembly in their various states. So it's not just the presidency that we are focusing on. We are focusing on all of the stratum of government, right from the bottom to the top. Some people have accused us that why are we talking about president? Why are we not going to the other side? We are taking everything in one bunch. Some of us are concentrating on the president, some are in the governorship. If you look at most of the states, you find young people that are also running for office of the governor in those states. The Senate, the Rep, State House of Assembly, local government, we are taking everything from the top to the bottom. So we're not just concentrating on the office of the president, it's a thing we're looking up together from the top to the bottom.
Well, Agba, he mentioned something about he transferring data and he has not yet been able to get his PVC for the past 6 months. And again, according to INEC data, voter turnout for 2015 was about 44% of registered voters. But with this challenge, are you sure or are you certain that we will get up to that percentage that we got in 2015?
Well, very quickly, maybe before I answer you, I should tell you also that in Cross River State, there are people within the Take It Back movement that are already ready to run for the House of Assembly. I've told them that young people, I am not running for election, I will keep re-emphasizing that, but I have people even younger than me, they will run for the House of Assembly. And I've told them that out of 25 seats in the House, in my state House of Assembly, if we not try, we should collect 3. And I mean it. I'm not joking.
All right.
Now, let's come back to...
We're looking forward to that, then.
Yes, I will come back here and talk about it. I'm very excited. My energy is up. Now, talking about voters' card, I will maintain that talking about the future, from statistics, if you look at both Europe and America, voter turnout in countries where they do voter registration before elections is generally low. It's only countries that allow people that have attained voting age to go and vote. That is where you see that. Like in Norway, for instance, voter turnout is usually about 78% to 82%. They actually have the highest in the world. Because this kind of bottlenecks, they will continue to exist. But I don't know where to pin the blame, whether it is the system that doesn't want people to get their cards. Because like the problem he pointed out, there are so many people out there. I know we couldn't vote in the 2011 election, myself and my wife, because we kept going every day to wherever we were supposed to go to get our cards, and we could not get them until the elections came and passed. And I know how terrible I felt that I could not cast my vote. Not because even on the election day I was still at the polling booth, but I couldn't. I saw people casting their votes, but I couldn't cast my vote, and it was very, very painful for me. But for those, I would say, those that their cards are there, please go and collect them. Those that their cards have not been produced, keep trying. If you are trying to transfer and you are having bottlenecks, don't let the system frustrate you. Keep pushing. The many that will get will also be able to vote. And then on the day of election, please, that's not the day for you to call your girlfriend or your boyfriend and lock yourself in the house. It's a day to go and vote. After the election, the country will become better and even the law will become sweeter.
Veronica, let me say this. Now, how would it be like if there is a press conference every 3 months, like I said, and the president is seated here with members of his cabinet, and the head of INEC is there, and Agba is saying that I've been trying to get my voter's card for the past few weeks. I couldn't get it. Election is around the corner. And Mr. President say, Oga INEC, what's happening? Why are people not getting their card? I give you 2 weeks. If they don't get their card, you are fired. Do you think...
Well, the time frame was given for people to collect, you know,
the time frame of frustration. People go there, they are not able to get it. There's a bottleneck. People spend hours, spend days in INEC office to get these things. They are not getting them. That's what I'm saying, that if there is transparency on the part of the leadership, one man that is ready to make the... See, every other person will fall in line. That's the way it works. They look at the body language of the headship. Even the insecurity that we're talking about now, the Boko Haram, the killings and all that, the security agents look at the body language of the head, of the president. And that's why I've always said...
But you know that sometimes people try to beat the body language of the president or the person at the helm of affairs. Or you're going this way, I want to beat you to it.
One of those things that I mentioned as part of my manifesto is that I will make the president, the office of the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, less powerful than it is. The office of the president of Nigeria, it's about the most powerful office in the world. When I become president, he will not be in charge of appointing the IG, for instance, because what we have is the IG is an appointee of Mr. President, so he sees himself as being loyal to Mr. President, which is wrong. The allegiance of the Inspector General of Police should be to the Nigerian state, not Mr. President. The head of custom, the head of INEC, the head of all of the government parastatals. The president will not be the one to appoint them. We have a different arrangement to get them appointed. They will prepare their budget, take it to the National Assembly and defend it themselves. So the executive cannot cut them off in terms of finances. That's how to build strong institutions. But what we have now, they see themselves as appendages of Mr. President. So before they do anything, they watch the body language of Mr. President. If we arrest this person, I hope Mr. President won't feel angry. So let's see. So that way the system cannot work. And that's why we're saying in 2019, we need to break away from where we are and make our nation back.
All right, now, Akbar, when you look at all of what we have said, what do you think the electorates will be looking out for come 2019, especially for the candidates making their choices? Well, some have said like a technocrat and all of that, but really, what do Nigerians need?
Well, generally, Nigerians will be I will answer the question in my layman's language. If my illiterate mother were asked this question, she would tell you they just want somebody that can come and make the country better, make them have light, have food to eat, have access to Medicare when they are sick. Those are just some of the basic things that Nigerians want somebody that can come and help them do. We shouldn't be talking about food security in the 21st century. You know, but people still die because of Panadol in the hospital. People still die because they don't have 200 naira to go to the hospitals. I still have people who call me on the phone and they need as little as 500 naira to survive. This kind of things still happen, and it's a horrible feeling. But added to that, Nigerians should look for track record. If somebody comes now and say he wants to be your president, he wants to be your governor, in the 2019 election, we must encourage as many candidates as possible to come out to debate. Let them come and talk to us. We should forget this idea of one big man pointing at somebody and say, this is the man you need to vote for. We should encourage as many of them. Is that your
definition of a track record?
No, come and talk to us and tell us what your track record is. What have you done in the past? It's only in debates and possibly, because most times people don't have other places to meet these people.
True.
When you engage them and spend time to listen to them, if you are a sensible person, if you listen to 2-3 persons talk to you about the same issues, you should be able to make up your mind who exactly you want to vote for, because that is very, very important for us. We also need to investigate our candidates, but we should also pay more interest to candidates that will hold legislative positions. I will advocate that a lot, because those ones are closer to us. We can find out their history from their various communities before we vote for them. It's very important that we also have strong legislatures, because no matter your intention, I also do not agree that a country can change in 6 months. I don't. Because if you are unlucky to have a very terrible assembly like the one we have, the National Assembly now, with those 2 lords in the House of Reps and the Senate, where once you speak against them, they gag you, they suspend you, they drive you away from the floor. If you are terrible and unlucky to have that kind of assembly, they will not allow you move 1 inch and do anything. So it is important also that we must encourage the supporters. As you are looking at the star, you must also think about the galaxies. Who are the people that are going to populate the various parliaments to be able to support the vision of the president? If we do not do that, it will be difficult. Look at the APC, for instance. In the past 3 years, they have clear majority in both houses of the National Assembly, but they have never been able to successfully pass anything without rancor, even though they are controlling majority in both chambers of the National Assembly. You would expect that without clear majority, it would be easy for them to get things done as quickly as possible. You understand? But 3 years, every time is rancor. Look at the budget. It took about 7 months before they were able to, and I think it's later in the week that the president, in the week that is coming, that the president is going to even sign it into law in the 6 months of the year. And all of these things are things that should get every Nigerian out there angry enough to know that beyond the parties, listen to your candidates, investigate them. Listen to them. If they are on radio, tune radio and listen to them. If they are on television, tune the television and listen to them. Hear what they are saying, pay attention to it, and find out whether this person can actually approximate your expectation when you get into government.
Doctor, your submission on this.
If you are sworn in as a president of a country, and in the first 6 months, we do not see a deviation from the rot to that of hope.
Okay, quickly, if you could hold the thought. I hear we have a caller on the line. Go ahead with your contribution. Are you there? All right, go ahead.
If you have a new president sworn into the office of the president, and in the first 6 months, you do not see a deviation from the past, then that president has no roadmap. That president has no vision for his nation. I repeat it, and I will say it over and over again. In 6 months, if we have a president who knows what he's doing, everybody will feel a transformation. It's not as if the country will become a paradise in 6 months, but you will all see that there is a wave. You come in as the president, you were sworn in. Where's your blueprint? That's the question. When President Buhari was sworn in, was there a blueprint he gave to Nigerians? These are the roles I will play. These are my vision. The first 1 year, second, third, 4 years. Plan the 4 years. Now, these are the things you will do as citizens. These are the sacrifices you will make for A, B, C to happen. These are the ones we will do. These are the ones you will do. So let's work with it. When you have that, 6 months, there will be, it's going to be very obvious. I already mentioned that when the president was sworn in, for instance, nobody was taking bribe on the road. If you drive your vehicle past any police checking point, they dare not take bribe from you because they were looking at the body language of the president. Oh, this man has come. He's a no-nonsense. He doesn't take shit. You cannot give that, you know. So nobody will take bribe from you. But they were waiting for the blueprint, which he didn't come with. And after some time, we all slided back and people started behaving the way they were. So Akbar, when I say 6 months, I mean what I'm saying. If we have an agenda, 6 months is enough for you to have a definition, not to make it a paradise, but the people will begin to feel that something is actually beginning to happen. And talking about the question you asked about what the people...
because we are running out of time.
should expect from the incoming president in next year. The bottom line is anyone who has been in office before, anyone who has occupied government office, a recycled politician, Nigerians should not vote for that person in 2019. We can't keep doing... Because they have no idea of the new Nigeria we're trying to build.
All right.
They have no idea. So they should cast their ballot for a fresh blood, one who has not been tainted by the murky waters of Nigerian politics. All right,
2019 presidential aspirant on the platform of the Alliance for New Nigeria, Dr. Thomas Wilson Ikubese, and political analyst and rights activist Agba Jalingo. Thanks for your time on the program.
It's always a pleasure.
Well, that's our package on today's edition of Standpoint. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, you can watch a repeat of this edition tomorrow by 7 a.m. I'm Veronica Danik Boy. Enjoy your weekend.